Let me ask you one question. 1. How many people have you seen follow every single piece of financial advice they were ever given? Save diligently, invest carefully, live below their means, and still end up broke, anxious, or completely irrelevant by 60. Financial intelligence is a myth sold to the middle class to keep them busy while the wealthy play an entirely different game. You want me to save while inflation is quietly eating my money alive. You want me to sacrifice my 30s so I can be comfortable in a nursing home? That is not a plan. That is a trap dressed up in a suit.
You are angry. Good. Anger means you are paying attention. But before you burn down the entire idea of financial wisdom, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard of a man named Ronald Read?
Ronald Read? No. And I seriously doubt some guy I have never heard of is about to change my mind about anything.
Ronald Read was a gas station attendant for most of his life. Then a janitor. He drove a used car. He wore a tattered coat held together by a safety pin. His neighbors thought he was struggling. When he died in 2014, they discovered he had quietly accumulated a fortune of over $8 million, which he donated to hospitals and his local library. He never had a finance degree. He never got a lucky break. He never won anything. He simply understood something that most people spend their entire lives running away from. And that is what this conversation is about.
So the dream you are selling me is to live like a monk, die quietly, and leave money to strangers. Fantastic. Meanwhile, inflation is running at 7–8%. The cost of housing has doubled. My salary has not moved. Every dollar I save today is worth less tomorrow. Compounding sounds wonderful in a textbook. In the real world, it is a slow race against a system designed to beat you.
You are making the most common and most dangerous mistake in personal finance. You are looking at compounding as addition when it is actually multiplication. Warren Buffett did not become one of the wealthiest people on earth because he was smarter than everyone else. He became wealthy because he started at age 10 and never stopped. 99% of his net worth was accumulated after his 50th birthday, not because markets suddenly rewarded him, but because the engine had been running long enough to produce results that look miraculous from the outside and are entirely mathematical from the inside. $1 growing at 7% annually becomes $20 in 40 years. Not because the market is generous, because numbers multiply on themselves in silence, and most people never give them enough time to do their work. You are not in a race against inflation. You are in a race against your own impatience.
Patience, right. Easy to talk about patience when you are already comfortable. But what about the unexpected? Job loss, medical emergencies, a market crash at the worst possible moment. I have seen people do everything right and still get wiped out because life did not follow the spreadsheet.
Now you are asking the right question, and the answer is uncomfortable. Morgan Housel writes about what he calls the margin of safety. The idea is not complicated. It simply means you must always leave room for things to go wrong. Not because you are pessimistic, because reality is unpredictable and always has been. Do not invest every dollar you have. Do not borrow to the absolute limit of what a bank will lend you. Do not structure your financial life in a way where one unexpected blow destroys everything. The person who survives financially is rarely the smartest person in the room. They are the one who made sure that when disaster arrived, and it always arrives, they still had something left to stand on. The goal is not to avoid failure. The goal is to ensure that failure cannot be fatal.
So I should live in permanent anxiety, always holding back, always waiting for the next catastrophe. That is not financial freedom. That sounds like a very expensive form of fear.
There is a profound difference between fear and wisdom. Fear paralyzes, wisdom prepares. And while we are on the subject of fear, let me dismantle another illusion you are carrying. You believe that being rich means looking rich, that the man with the luxury car, the designer watch, the 5-star vacation is the one winning the game. Housel makes a distinction that should be tattooed on every young person who ever opened a bank account. Being rich is the income you display. Being wealthy is the assets you do not display. The man driving the $100,000 car may be carrying the $120,000 debt. The man driving a sensible used car may be sitting on a quietly growing investment portfolio that will outlast everyone in the room. True wealth is what you do not spend. It is stored capacity. It is options you have not yet needed to use. Wealth is invisible by definition, and that invisibility is precisely what makes it powerful.
But people judge you by what they see. That is not an opinion. That is reality. Perception drives opportunity. If I do not project success, doors do not open. Respect is bought in this world, whether we like it or not.
And here is where the book delivers its most honest and most brutal observation. Housel writes that many people spend money they do not have on things they do not need to impress people who are not paying attention. When you buy the luxury car, the people watching are not thinking about how impressive you are. They are thinking about how much they want one for themselves. They move on in 30 seconds. You are making payments for 7 years. The respect you are chasing through displays of wealth is a mirage. The respect that actually opens doors, that changes the energy when you walk into a negotiation, that makes people listen when you speak, that comes not from what you own, but from what you do not need. The most powerful person in any room is the one who could walk away from the deal and still be completely fine. That power is not purchased, it is built.
Wait, you just said something I have not heard before. The one who could walk away and still be fine. Are you telling me that the entire point of financial discipline is not the money itself, that it is about something else entirely?
Now we have reached the center of the book, the thesis that every other concept is building toward. Housel argues that the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, this is what I want to do today, and mean it. Not the car, not the house, not the number on a screen. The freedom of time, the ability to choose your work because it engages you, not because it is the only option that accepted you. The ability to be present with the people you love because you have built enough of a buffer that you are not consumed by financial survival every waking hour. The ability to say no to a project, a deal, a person, a direction, without your life collapsing as a result. That is what money is actually for. Ronald Read understood this. He did not live poorly, he lived freely. And he died on his own terms. That is not a consolation prize. That is the whole point.
I have been thinking about money completely backwards. I thought the goal was to accumulate enough to finally feel safe, to finally arrive somewhere. But you are saying the goal was never a destination. It was a condition, a state of being where you are no longer owned by your financial anxiety, where you have enough margin to actually choose.
You were not thinking about money backwards. You were thinking about it the way society taught you to. And that is the tragedy. From the moment we are old enough to want things, we are conditioned to see wealth as a scoreboard, as a signal to others, as a destination you reach so that people finally acknowledge your worth. What Housel reveals and what Ronald Read embodied without ever reading a single page of financial theory is that money is not a scoreboard. It is a tool. And like any tool, its value depends entirely on what you are trying to build. The question was never how much do you want to have. The question has always been, what do you want to be free to do? Answer that honestly, and every financial decision you make from this moment forward will carry a different kind of clarity. The moment of clarity that Mark just experienced is not a theory. It is a shift in the way you see every dollar, every decision, and every trade-off you will face for the rest of your life. If there is one question you carry out of this video, let it be this one. What door do you want your money to open? Not someone else's door. Not the door that gets you admired at dinner parties. Your door. Write in the comments. Because when you can name it clearly, the path to it stops being complicated. And if this conversation sparks something in you, subscribe. Because this channel exists for one reason only, to give you the thinking that changes the game. Not tomorrow, starting right now.